Yeah.
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. You straight gangsters over here,
Straight
man.
gangsters.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good morning and welcome back. You are listening to Scout Team Sports. We bring it to you hot and live each and every weekday morning at 6 a.m. I am one of your gracious hosts. They call me Loudbeard.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
Yes, and all of that is true. And the man on the other microphone, he is one of the greatest patriots I have ever known. We know him as
Yeah, it's your boy Chris America coming to you live this now, January 10th. It is January 10th. I checked the calendar 3 times. It is January 10th, 2018. Yes. Got it right.
Yes.
Nailed it.
2018. Nailed it.
Nailed
You're
it.
right. 100%. Well, welcome aboard, Chris America. How are you doing this morning? I feel like I haven't talked to you in forever, even though last night we had our Wednesday night Scout Team After Dark. If you did not have a chance to listen to our After Dark episode that comes on every Wednesday from 7:30 to 9 o'clock, you can always hit it up on the podcast, and that's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or our website, Scout Team Radio. Replay comes back on Fridays. Make sure you check that out. So, yeah, good time last night, huh?
We had a great time. We had some technical difficulties, but good time.
Yeah, the technical difficulties, they were a little frustrating. When you go live, anything and everything can happen. It wasn't as bad as, like, maybe having a Super Bowl and all the lights going out in the middle of the halftime show. That kind of stuff happens on live TV, and that's a catastrophe. What happened to us was a little hiccup last night. Having a little technical difficulties. We got on air a little bit late, but once we got on air, we really brought it. We know how to bring it, don't we, Chris America?
We brung it.
We done brung it.
It was broughton.
It was absolutely broughton. So I'm going to start off today with leading in with this Kyler Murray story that's going on out there. So there's rumors, there's sources, there's news outlets that are reporting that the Oakland Athletics believe that Kyler Murray will declare for the NFL draft, and that these sources, these unnamed sources, are saying that Kyler Murray is leaning towards football. Now, Kyler Murray was a first round, I believe he was drafted 9th overall to the Oakland Athletics, got a $4+ million signing bonus to play for the Athletics. And if he decides to go to the NFL, he'll have to pay back that signing bonus. Well, that's probably not too big of a deal, because if he gets a very high draft pick in the NFL, which I believe he would get unless teams are nervous about the baseball prospect, he would get drafted high. He would get paid well over that $4+ million signing bonus that he got in baseball. But this is kind of a weird story, because we've talked about this in the past. People that play baseball have a longer career. It's less stressful in your body. It's a safer route to go. But I guess if you have the passion for football, and football is life, maybe, just maybe, you want to become that superstar quarterback. Is this a good idea for Kyler Murray to go into the NFL draft, Chris America?
If you're going to use your head and say all the things that you mentioned, you make more money on average if you make it big. Now, we've seen recently that even that's the wrong word, even not good quarterbacks get paid over $20 million. We've seen Sam Bradford make $110 million, and he's been one of the most average quarterbacks we've ever seen in our lives. And you're never going to see a baseball player at Sam Bradford's talent level make that much. So maybe it is smarter if you're a quarterback in his position, which he is, But if you think with your heart and you stop thinking about money and you stop thinking about, risks and injuries and stuff like that, and you just go with what you want to do in life, what your passion is, what you want to, what you love doing, then you got to go with the football, man. If that's what you love doing, if that's where your passion is, if that's where your heart is, you always got to do what's best for you and what it makes you happy in life. You only get one go at this. Don't ruin it by, making decisions for somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, all of those are good points. And, he's kind of on top of the world in the college football world, and he would be highly touted coming out of college football into the NFL. He could be a number 1 overall pick. That's what a guy like Cliff Kingsbury would think, right? I mean, when you have coaches that are now NFL coaches that last year were saying, hey, I would take this guy number 1 overall in the NFL draft, obviously there's huge potential out there and huge opportunity for this guy.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be with Cliff Kingsbury and the Arizona Cardinals since they drafted a guy number 10 overall last year. I think Cliff Kingsbury was probably at Texas Tech about to play Oklahoma, talking up his opponent. And then he said something that he never thought would ever come to a choice, which I doubt in October he's thinking, I'm probably going to be a coach in the NFL next year, and yeah, I would totally draft him. But, hey, I didn't think Cliff Kingsbury would be at Arizona, so who knows if Arizona moves Josh Rosen for a couple of picks and takes Kyler Murray. You never know.
Yeah, I don't think Cliff Kingsbury thought he would be at Arizona
No.
at this point. I'm pretty sure this was a whirlwind thing that just caught him off guard.
It's just kind of something that they coaches say in college, like, "Oh yeah, I'd totally take this guy in the draft." It's easy to write checks that you don't have to cash.
Oh, absolutely.
Or you don't think you have to cash.
Normal coach speak. I mean, that's what they do. I've seen Nick Saban do it. I've seen Urban Meyer do it. When they're playing an opponent, they always show a lot of respect ahead of time. They always hype up the opponent like they've got a great quarterback, really talented guy, great offensive line. They always speak very highly of the other team. They're never going to put them down. Number one, if they put them down, the media will jump all over them, and it'll be a huge story.
Yeah, even when the FCS opponent comes in, they're like, "Man, we got our work cut out for us. This offensive line this is an SEC type offensive line now, and that quarterback, he's going to be a number 1 overall pick for the Apollos, but the number 1 overall pick all together."
Yeah, I mean that's what they do. They just talk them up, and
then they stomp them 70-3.
Yes, and with Kingsbury, he never thought he would be in this situation, and it's just kind of a fun soundbite. For our listeners out there, if you didn't hear it, Cliff Kingsbury in October did an interview where he said that Kyler Murray, if he was a coach in the NFL, he would take him number 1 overall. He was that talented of a guy. And I think we all agree. Kyler Murray is a super talented quarterback. Now, I don't know if he will go number 1 overall, and I don't have all of his details in front of me, but I think he's kind of a shorter quarterback. Of course, so was Baker Mayfield. I feel like the stigma of having to be that 6'4", perfect arm length, prototypical quarterback, I think that has kind of faded a little bit because of guys like Drew Brees and Russell Wilson that have made it a little bit less important. Now, Baker Mayfield also not a super tall guy, picked number 1 overall. So there is a ton of opportunity out there for Kyler Murray. And there are a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. And in a quarterback-driven league, every team is dying to find that next franchise guy. They want that guy that they can ride from here until eternity, that they don't have to worry about the position for 15 years. So teams will take chances on quarterbacks, and that's why the Arizona Cardinals last year picked Josh Rosen at number 10. I don't think Josh Rosen was a number 10 NFL draft talent, but he went high because teams need quarterbacks. Arizona Cardinals, they need a quarterback. Now, they're probably not willing to give up on Josh Rosen, but when you get a new coach in, it's kind of all bets are off. Anything could happen, and it depends what Kingsbury thinks. If Kingsbury thinks that Rosen is not the future, he could go all in and go for Kyler Murray. He could go all in and go for Dwayne Haskins. Who knows? The Arizona Cardinals, right now, they're in the driver's seat, and they can do anything they want at that pick. Yeah, you've got Bosa sitting there, and that's a huge defensive talent. But unfortunately, the quarterback always seems to kind of rise to the top of the draft.
No, always. And if I were to say which quarterback fits Kingsbury's system better, hands down, it's Kyler Murray. Cliff Kingsbury ran an air raid, spread them out type offense. And you need a quarterback that's mobile to run that type of offense, or they usually had quarterbacks that's athletic, mobile, basically Patrick Mahomes, who was Cliff Kingsbury's guy. But I still don't see it. But you never know. So who's next in line? None other than Dwayne Haskins' New York Giants. And how funny will it be if the Giants decide to pull the trigger on Murray instead of Haskins, and now Haskins got to be like, hey, remember, guys, I said I was kidding about that whole Giants thing.
Yeah, I deleted that tweet. It never happened.
Never
happened.
Even though Scout Team, they tweeted it out, it still never happened.
Well, that's the funny thing about the internet. You can delete things, but they never really are deleted. People will screenshot and save and share, and once something's out there, there's no going back. It is there for life.
Right. But I don't think it's that detrimental of a thing. Once he's on a team getting paid $30 million and he starts lighting up the scoreboard, if he does, fans won't care.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's not as bad as maybe having a gas mask that you will have smoking weed out of. Like, there are other things that people do that are completely stupid. Now, it does seem like when the draft comes around, that's when all the media trolls start digging into, like, 2011 tweets by some of these draftees. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out. Hopefully, we don't see any bad stuff for some of these young guys getting drafted. But, you know,
it's going to come out like in 2010, Kyler Murray double dipped at a party.
Ooh, you never double dip a chip.
Never double dip a chip.
I still remember that Seinfeld episode about double dipping. You know, it's one of those episodes that you will never forget because it is so true. Show about nothing. Just saying here, folks. Show about nothing. All right, Chris America, I'm going to move on a little bit. We talked a little about Kyler Murray. So we got playoffs coming up this weekend. I don't want to dissect all the games coming up. Maybe we'll get into that tomorrow on our Friday show as we get into another weekend of great NFL games. But with 8 teams left in the playoff picture, I do want to get a little perspective from you, Chris America. I want to know right now, if you look at the 8 teams that are remaining in the NFL playoffs, who would you say is your Super Bowl prediction at this point in the game? Who right now is the one team that you can see to win it all?
You know what? All these teams, I'm looking at them, and I can spot weaknesses and strengths. I can make arguments for all of them. And when I feel like the entire field is fairly even, like it is this year, which is very exciting for us, I got to go with the New England Patriots, man. You got to go with that's the safest pick. That's always going to be the right answer when you're making picks. And now it sounds like I'm taking the easy way out, but that's just the safest pick. It's funny that everybody this past month or so has been like, oh, Tom Brady had a bad year. The New England Patriots had a bad year. And yet here we are again with the New England Patriots playing in Foxborough on a bye week because they were one of the top 2 teams in the conference. Outside of that, if I were to make I wouldn't even call it a gutsy pick. I guess the Saints would be my next. I feel confident in them type pick. But Drew Brees and that offense have got to get it figured out. And that's why I don't pick them.
All right. No, New England is always the safe pick. They are always in the playoff conversation. They have won the AFC East, 10 years in a row? And they've been a perennial powerhouse. So it is a safe pick, and you cannot go wrong with picking the New England Patriots. It could be Tom Brady's swan song, even though he thinks that he's going to play for another 5 to 10 years. I guess in his head.
30.
Another 30 years. Whatever it may be. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here a little bit, Chris America. I don't know why I feel this way, and this could be a little misguided, but the way the Eagles had backed into the playoffs, the way that Nick Foles' magic has kind of seeped its way out, the double doink the other night against the really tough Chicago Bears, there's something about this Eagles team that has some fight in it, and just enough to possibly be the first team to repeat since the Patriots did it in the early 2000s. So I'm going to say that my bold early prediction is to see a repeat Super Bowl champion, because the Eagles seem like they're getting it all together all at the right time. Yeah, it was a little sloppy game the other night, but that was against a huge defensive attack. And I don't know. There's just something weird going on. There's something in the air. There's something my gut is telling me that the Eagles have something good going on. Now, they do play the New Orleans Saints, and that's a scary, scary team to go up against, especially in New Orleans. But Philadelphia, they've been here before. They have a ton of confidence in Foles, and this team, I don't know, just something about them.
I feel like you're tapping into your inner Phil Collins, and you can feel it in the air tonight. Hold on.
Yeah, there's something
Hold
in the
on.
air tonight.
No, I like the Eagles pick as well, and honestly, I don't know why I didn't think of it. Probably because the Eagles limped into the playoffs, like you said, and so it's hard to trust them. But they got their Super Bowl MVP quarterback back now. They got rid of that Wentz guy. He's on the shelf again, and now they've brought in the guy that won them the Super Bowl last year, and that's about as safe as a pick as it can get. Would you be entertained by an Eagles-Patriots 2?
I would be. One, I think the Super Bowl is going to be entertaining no matter what, so I'm all in on the Super Bowl. I don't necessarily like repeats. I mean, we talked about this with Clemson and Alabama, with Cleveland and Golden State. These aren't things that I like. I like to see different teams in there, different teams winning. I would much rather see an Eagles-Chargers Super Bowl. That's what I would like to see. It's hard to say that, though, because Indianapolis is scary, Kansas City is scary, and I don't know that the Chargers can get through New England in Foxborough, but I don't want to see the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I don't know if that's just me being one of the millions and millions of people that are sick of seeing the Patriots in the Super Bowl, but I would not be entertained, or I'd still be entertained, and I'd love to watch it, but I do think it would take a little bit off if it was an exact repeat of Eagles and Patriots. And honestly, the way that these matchups are looking and how good the teams are that are left, it's highly unlikely that we see a repeat Eagles and Patriots.
It is, and again, it goes back to what I said, that this is probably one of the most evened out. It feels like the most evened out. Now, I said there's going to be a blowout somewhere, and I still hold true to that, whether it's going to be this round or in the NFC, AFC championships. I guess I would say the weakest team I feel like would have to be the Colts, just because of how their season went, but they're 11-1 in the last 12 weeks. So it's really hard to say that that's a weak team, but I guess going into the playoffs, that would have been the team that I had the least amount of confidence in. So if they made a run, I think that would be a very fun and surprising run to see the Colts make it into the Super Bowl and take on whoever. But yeah, man, I'm excited for this weekend. I'm excited to see these matchups, see what the Eagles defense can do with Kamara and Thomas and Breeze, and see if the Chiefs defense is the hindrance that everybody thinks it is to Patrick Mahomes winning a title.
Hey, I just want to give a shout out real quick. You can always hit us up on Twitter at Scout Team Radio. Our good friend Ian Sports Takes, he did just tweet at us. He said, at Scout Team Radio, no Patriots. This is an excellent point. He doesn't want Patriots. This is what the world is coming to. It's the Patriots versus the world, and the world does not want to see the Patriots in there again. And I think that's what we're getting at. Now, back to your Colts point. The Colts, you're saying they're 11-1 over the last 12 games. I mean, that is a hot streak. Yes, they started out 1-5, but they have been one of the hottest teams. They've got a great leader in Andrew Luck. I mean, you're right, the evenness of this. I could pick out of those 8 teams, there's not a team that I would say that doesn't have a chance. All 8 teams have a chance, and all of them have good chances. They're all teams that have great aspects. Yeah, they have some weaknesses, but they all have such great strengths. And, you know, I could easily see the Colts running the table, which would be amazing. But It's not my prediction, but I could see it. And when you get that hot, when you're hot late in the season, that's usually the team that wins. Those are the teams that make it far. So, wow, the Colts, I don't know. I'm just excited to watch it this weekend to see what happens. We can talk about predicting who wins each game tomorrow, but today I'm saying my Super Bowl prediction is Eagles going back-to-back, which is a very bold prediction. And you, sir, you're going in New England Patriots. That's the safe prediction. Good job there. That may come true.
So, I mean, both of our picks are kind of safe since we're picking the teams that were there last year.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. I guess we're both in the safe zone.
The safe zone. But, yeah, I think you and I could do an entire hour-long episode arguing for each team to win the Super Bowl, and I think we would be convincing for all 8 teams.
Oh, easily. There, you can make arguments on both sides of the ball for any team remaining on why they should be or will be the Super Bowl winner. You could just argue back and forth. I mean, you're right. I mean, you look at it and you want to say Indianapolis is weak. I'm looking at it too. Right now I'm looking at every team playing. You got Indianapolis playing the Chiefs. Yeah, I would say Indianapolis is weak, but they were weak for the first 6 games of the season. The rest of the season, they were basically the Dallas Cowboys, which the Dallas Cowboys did the exact same thing. They were weak for the first quarter of the season, and then all of a sudden they turned it on, and they came in hot.
Yeah.
And, these teams are just all really good teams, and this is why having an 8-team playoff right now for the NFL seems like a really great idea. I like it. I don't know why other sport leagues can't figure out that having an 8-team playoff is not a good idea.
I like that they had a 12-team playoff, so that way the Indianapolis Colts, who started off a little slow with their brand new coach, and then went 11-1, which, by the way, 12 games is an entire college football season. So they went an entire college football season going 11-1, and that would have gotten them into the playoffs. In the college football playoff, hopefully.
Well, as long as they're in a Power 5 conference.
As long as they're in a Power 5 conference, exactly. Because playing Vanderbilt week in and week out is tough. But, yeah, you look at that, and now I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so 11-1, it is really hard to play 12 football games, especially in the NFL, and go 11-1. It really is really tough. And, look, they went against their division champion that they went 1-1 against, but Houston won the division. They had the best record, so give them the championship. And then they said, look, we should have been the division champion, but we had the slow start. So here we are now in the playoffs, and we're going to prove to you and the rest of the world that we're better than the Houston Texans, and they did. And now they have an opportunity to go into Arrowhead and say, Andrew Luck's not scared of that Chiefs defense. Andrew Luck's going to go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes, and we'll run a shootout, and we think our defense is good enough to stop Patrick Mahomes more than your defense is good enough to stop Andrew Luck.
Oh, yeah. Andrew Luck is the type of guy that he will face any challenge, and he'll do it with grace and dignity. He'll be a gentleman. He will have his neck beard, and he will make sure that he goes out there and puts his best foot forward. And with the Chiefs' weakness, the only weakness they have is the fact that their quarterback is a first-year quarterback and does not have any playoff experience. That and their defense is a little
sucks.
Yeah, there's some suspect moments on their defense. Okay, but their offense has been so good all year long, it's been able to carry them. Now, if Mahomes gets a little bit nervous or has a little bit of a slow start, that could really impede the Chiefs because the Chiefs' defense does not usually carry their weight. And Andrew Luck, I'm sure, has been waiting for this opportunity for a very long time. When you go out, and he was basically injured for 2 straight seasons, he's back, and he's finally to himself. I mean, the ego there, he's probably just ready and excited and just wanting to go out there and prove to everybody that he is the Andrew Luck, the number 1 overall pick, the guy that was able to force Peyton Manning out of Indianapolis. If anybody else was on that draft board other than Andrew Luck the season that the Colts picked Andrew Luck, they would not have picked, or they would have not got rid of Peyton Manning. But Andrew Luck was the He was the heir apparent, the only guy that could be brought into Indianapolis and the fans wouldn't say, "Oh my God, you're getting rid of Peyton Manning." And because of that, he's had a huge expectation, and he kind of lived up to it at first. But then these injury-plagued seasons have really soured these Indianapolis fans. And now this is Andrew Luck's chance to come back and show the fans, like, remember me? This is the guy. I am the guy that you said would take over and be the next Peyton Manning. This is me, and this is my moment. So I don't know. I'd be worried about the Chiefs right now. I'd be worried if I was the Chiefs.
I would be worried if I was the Chiefs, and I'd be worried if I'm any team in this playoff, and I'd be confident if I was any team in this playoff. We keep harping on that, and I'm excited for tomorrow's episode. We're starting to break down these games, and I'm ready to keep going, but we only have 4 minutes left until the break. So any Thursday thoughts there, Loudbeard?
Thursday thoughts?
Yes.
My thoughts on Thursday are I'm excited about NFL playoffs this weekend. I'm also excited about the NBA season heating up. So that's a thought. That's a complete thought, I believe. Maybe a complete thought. I am also, this is a Thursday thought for you, Chris America.
Okay.
I'm going to throw it out to you. So Bryce Harper and Manny Machado were the two biggest free agents in the majors this season. And right now we're sitting just a few weeks away from spring training kind of kicking back into gear. Maybe, just a few weeks. And when spring training starts kicking back in gear, we could be sitting at a point in Major League Baseball where the two biggest free agents aren't signed. So my thought for you, Chris America, is has the ownership in Major League Baseball and has Major League Baseball finally figured it out that they cannot pay these guys $500 million on these huge 10 to 15-year contracts? Have they finally decided to take a step back, to be thoughtful, and not to just jump in and throw money at any and every free agent? Because it is very unusual for a sports league to have a guy of the caliber of Bryce Harper and the guy of the caliber of Manny Machado just sit there in free agency and not get signed. Usually a team jumps on it. If this was the NFL, the top free agents are signed the minute free agency hits. But in baseball, these guys, they want so much money. I think the owners have finally said, you know what? We're not going to pay you $450 million just because you want it. We're going to pay you maybe more what you're worth. And so now there's a little bit of a standoff. So I don't know. My thought there is this has kind of become a little bit of a smarter league in Major League Baseball, and players are going to not get these huge contracts.
Yeah, I think we're finally realizing, at least in baseball, that not having a salary cap is a good thing. And what I mean is that baseball has finally realized, like you just mentioned, that you can't buy yourself a championship team. You still have to build it. You still have to put the right pieces in place. And spending lots of money doesn't equal happiness. And spending lots of money doesn't equal championships. It's 2019 since the three-peat of the Yankees, which was like 97 through 2000, I believe. Since that three-peat, the New York Yankees have won a total of one championship. And they've had so many bad seasons in between that last championship and now. They now have a really good team. And it's very possible they can win that championship, but they're really winning this championship off of the fact that their Aaron Judge is a rookie. He's on a rookie contract, and he's playing like a 10-year veteran right now. He's playing like a $300 million to $400 million baseball player. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
and that's why the Yankees have a good team right now, is because they have one $300 million guy, and they have another guy who could get a $300 million contract, but because he's a rookie and he just blew up 2 years ago, he's on, I don't know, what is he on, like a $10 million? I don't know what rookies get. I'd have to look up Aaron Judge's contract, but it's probably not that much. It's probably very cheap, and they're not going to be able to afford him and Giancarlo Stanton come the time that Aaron Judge's contract is up.
Yes, all of that is true, my friend. And it's like the baseball theory. The teams right now that have these rookie contract quarterbacks in the NFL seem to have more money to be able to spend. A guy like Chicago Bears, they have Trubisky on a rookie contract, so then they can spend more money on a Khalil Mack and other players. So when you have some guys that are on those I guess, better deals, it ends up helping out the team because they can go out and get some more assets. And they have to be able to build teams. Teams have to be able to build from their farm system. And you're right, these Major League Baseball teams have realized they can't just go out and dump a bunch of money. That doesn't mean that Bryce Harper and Manny Machado aren't going to get big deals. The Nationals are still pursuing Harper. The Phillies look like they're hot on the trail on Manny Machado. But it's just, it wasn't like, hey, $400 million over 10 years, here you go. Oh, you want $450, here you go. Whatever you want. They've decided that, no, we're going to take a step back. Let's see what the market yields, and let's see if we can get a better deal. We do not want to hamstring our whole baseball team for the next 10 years. And I think of Albert Pujols with the Angels. Mm-hmm. They paid him $1 bazillion over 10 years. And the idea was the last few years of that contract they knew would be dead because he's going to be like 50 years old. But they really didn't get the production out of him for this entirety of this contract, and it hurt that organization. They did not, if they would have got the production out of him and had Mike Trout's production and a few other pieces, that could have been a great program, but it really hasn't been because that Pujols contract has really, really set back the Angels. So,
yeah.
Anyway, that's my Thursday thought for you, Chris America.
So, before we go to break, guess what Aaron Judge made last year?
$500,000.
Ooh, very close. $622,000. This year, it says team control. I don't know what that means. Maybe more people that understand baseball do know what that means. But Loudbeard, on the other side of the break, I tossed and turned all night. I couldn't sleep because you teased us as to what you wanted to talk about, and I interrupted you, and I apologize, and I'm ready to find out what it was you wanted to talk about on last night's show.
All right, you'll be disappointed.
I always am.
When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports. That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. Ah, 12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst.
Scout Team listeners and friends of the show, I've got something special for you. It looks like 12-ounce sports radio has done it again. We have partnered with Rally House. You just go to the website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner on the right side of the page, and it will take you directly to Rally House. Rally House has some of the greatest, most unique sports items for that diehard fan, casual fan, and anybody and everybody out there that is special in your life. So go ahead and check it out. Once again, go to that website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner to the right of the page, and you will get taken to the best sports merchandise website on all of the interweb.
Ring Central features all-in-one phone, messaging, and video conferencing. It's easy to use with unparalleled security. Ring Central simplifies things so you can grow. Call Ring Central to speak with a representative about a price for your growing business at 877-779-3860. Again, that's 877-779-3860.
Hey everybody, it's your favorite Patriot, Chris America, and I want you to listen every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and on replays from 11 a.m. to noon of Scout Team Sports. Listen, George Washington did not cross over the ocean blue in 1492 to defeat the Nazis, so you can listen to the same tired national clickbait sports stories. So once again, tune in to us every single morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and then we replay from 11 to noon. I will see you there, and God bless America.
thank everybody for listening in today. It is a beautiful Thursday morning. We are the Scout Team. He is Chris America. I am Loudbeard. We're bringing it to you hot this Thursday morning. We come live every weekday, Monday through Friday. We are the Scout Team. Oh, man, it is great to be back on the airwaves. If you want to catch any of our old episodes, including our After Dark episode, which we aired last night, 7:30 to 9 o'clock on 12 Ounce Sports Radio, you can catch our podcast. It is up. It is out there. You can listen to it. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or our website, scoutteamradio.com. Also, make sure you get social with us. We like to get social and interactive. We are on Twitter at Scout Team Radio. We're also on Facebook or Instagram at Scout Team Radio. Make sure you check all of those out. If you tweet at us while we're on air, we may possibly read your tweet on the air, unless it's offensive, and then we will definitely read it. And so then we like to talk about these crazy topics. And last night, if you were watching or listening into our After Dark episode, I do want to say that there was a little bit of a tease, and Chris America brought it up before the commercial break, and that was I had this great topic I wanted to bring up, and I was getting ready to get into it, and all of a sudden I was just interrupted by Chris America, and he likes to talk about his things. He likes to talk about knitting American flags and how the best synthetic threads need to be used when he's sewing the stars and he's sewing the stripes. He talks about these things because he knits himself beautiful flags.
Not just flags, but kitten coasters.
Kitten coaster. I don't even know what that is.
It's a coaster for your coffee table that has kittens on it.
Oh, okay. I thought like you put kittens inside of a roller coaster.
I mean, that would be awesome. Kitten coaster.
But you could knit that like a kitten coaster.
I could
like
knit
a roller
kitten,
coaster with kittens. I was thinking about that. I was like, wow, that's kind of elaborate.
A kitten on a roller coaster on a coaster.
So, Chris America, you want to know the topic after I've teased it for so long, after our listeners had to muscle through it last night and get teased and then teased before the commercial break.
You know what? I'm going to interrupt you again. Aaron Judge, $3 million his entire 4-year career in the major leagues. But yeah, go on with your topic.
I lost my train of thought. Forgot what I was going to say.
Gone forever.
All right, so moving on to the next subject. James Harden last night was on fire. He hit 42 points in a loss. They end up losing to the Milwaukee Bucks. He has been just absolutely putting this team on his back since Chris Paul's injury. Now, they do lose last night, but they have been playing at a very high level, and part of that is because of James Harden and what James Harden has done. And now James Harden has gone 14 games in a row with 30-plus points, and that ties an NBA record for second with Tracy McGrady at 14 games. He is only 2 games behind the great Kobe Bryant, and if he scores 30-plus in the next 2 games, he will tie, and if he scores 30-plus in the next 3 games, he will end up taking the NBA record for most games with 30-plus points. After being an MVP last year, it looks like James Harden's doing it again. He is trying to be the MVP again, and he's trying to carry this Houston Rockets team back to the playoffs. Great showing last night, and I'd love to see him beat Kobe Bryant's record. So, good showing out there for the Rockets.
That's a good showing for all the beards out there, too. I mean, that's why you look up to this guy, Loudbeard, as he speaks for all beardom.
Yeah, I was a little, I don't know, I was a little upset with James Harden last year. A little bit upset with him. After
he cost you your beard.
He cost me my beard. For all the listeners who weren't listening in last year during the NBA playoffs, I did a beard bet. My name is Loudbeard, so I do have a very nice beard, and that beard had to get shaved off because I said the Rockets would beat the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, and I was so close. And then James Harden and the Houston Rockets missed like 30 three-pointers in a row. I don't remember the exact number, but it felt like it was 30. It was at least 30 in a row. And when they did that and they lost to the Warriors, things hurt, man. That hurt. That was a very emotional time for me. When you get your beard, you just get it cut off and you get maimed. It's not a good feeling. And I definitely Definitely. Oh, I don't. Why did you bring that up? Thanks a lot, Chris America. I'm mad
I'm
at you
sorry,
now.
Loudbeard. Maybe you
No,
should have
it's a-
went ahead with that that topic you wanted to talk about.
All right, maybe I'll talk about that at the end if I remember what it was. So the Lakers last night. You love your LeBron Lakers.
The
Your
LeBron
LA
Lakers,
LeBrons.
yeah.
The LA LeBrons without LeBron James last night get a huge win over the Detroit Pistons, 113-100. But it's not LeBron James who's the superstar last night. It is Kyle Kuzma, forward for the Los Angeles Lakers. He has a career night with 41 points. So it's nice to see another guy stepping up for the Lakers. To me, Kuzma is one of those underrated guys. It's his second year. Last year he was a rookie, and honestly, he should have been in that Rookie of the Year conversation. It was obviously overshadowed when you had Ben Simmons, who was getting all the spotlight, and you had Donovan Mitchell over in Utah, who was taking a lot of the spotlight. But Kuzma was easily the third, fourth, or fifth best rookie last year and should have been in the conversation at least a little bit more for Rookie of the Year. And he should have been in the conversation over a guy that was picked ahead of him by the Los Angeles Lakers, Lonzo Ball. You haven't heard a whole lot about Lonzo this year, have you? Lonzo has
No.
not progressed like we thought Lonzo would progress.
Well, also when you put in a vacuum such as LeBron James, which vacuums and sucks up all the attention, Lonzo could be having a career year, and he still would be like, yeah, and then there's that Lonzo guy.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, we saw it with Dwayne Wade, we saw it with Kyrie Irving. Like, those two guys played great next to LeBron, and we kind of talked about them, and we said they were doing good. They were good teammates for LeBron, but at the end of the day, all the attention goes straight to LeBron.
That's true. He is.
And
He's like a
LeBron
black hole.
LeBron beat the Pistons, right?
Yes.
A team that is on a epic downward spiral. They were 4-15 over their last 19 games. The only team doing worse right now than the Detroit Pistons in that stretch, the New York Knicks.
Well,
the
that's
kinda-
good.
that's
Good
the
company
kinda
to
team you
keep.
wanna be, yeah, that's the kind of team you want to be named with.
Yeah. Well, this is a confidence booster for the Lakers, and Kuzma had a big night. Hey, we just got to give credit where credit is due. That's what I'm saying. Another team it hasn't been too great this year is the Atlanta Hawks, but I brought this up the other day, and I'm gonna dig a little deeper into this. Vince Carter, this guy does not want to roll over and die. He is one of the best old players we have seen in the NBA. So, Chris America, I got a list for you. This is going to be my top 5 old players that have played well in the NBA. So this is
All
a
right, let's
special
hear it.
treat for you. Number
Man,
5.
You're putting on your dig dug and digging deep into this.
Yes, I'm Doug Dig Doug and Doug. Wasn't that a TV show, Doug and Doug? Nope.
Doug?
No, it wasn't.
No, that was Ed, and Eddie.
Oh, that one. Yes, same show.
Same
so, number 5.
Quail Man.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. At
Mm.
40 years old, he won an NBA championship, and in that NBA championship, that series, he averaged 19.2 points and 7 rebounds, and in that season, he started all 80 games as a 40-year-old for an NBA championship caliber Lakers. So, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, number 5. Number 4, the mailman, Karl Malone, played until he was like 100. One of the the oldest player to record a triple-double. His 40-year-old season, he averaged 13 points and 9 rebounds. Number 3, former teammate of Karl Malone, and that would be John Stockton. His 40-year-old year, he averaged 12.5 points and 10 assists at the spry young age of 40 years old. Number 2, we've got Robert Parrish, the Chief, averaging 11.7 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 1 block, playing 74 out of 82 games in his 40-year-old season. And number 1, the greatest player of all time. That's right, I don't throw GOAT out at just anybody, but Michael Jordan, at 40 years of age, scored 20 points, or averaged 20 points, 6.1 rebounds, and 4 assists in 37 minutes per game. which he started 67 out of 82 games for the Washington Wizards at the ripe young age of 40 years old. And that is your top 5 old players in the NBA who had amazing seasons, and that was brought to you by Vince Carter, AARP.
Yep, and that was a good segment, and we might be able to see LeBron join that list. He's 4 years away, I believe, 5 or 4, from joining that great list. But you know who's young, and you mentioned scoring 20 points? You know who's young and scoring 20 points?
Who is that?
I got this inside information from Ian Sportsteak. Apparently, the Greek Freak went 20 for 20 last night. 20 points, 20 rebounds.
Nice. That's a
I like
good
that.
stat line.
That's who
And
I
that-
want to see in the NBA Finals, to be honest with you, from the East. Because he's the one new superstar that I really like. He's very entertaining. He's fun to watch, and he's in a small market. I want to see that happen.
Well, you could easily see that because Milwaukee moved ahead of Toronto in the East and is now number 1 in the East, half a game ahead of Toronto. So you got Milwaukee with the Greek Freak, you got Toronto with Kawhi, and then after that, Indiana, Philadelphia, Boston. We've all seen that. Surprisingly, at number 6 is Brooklyn, but number 6 means that you're 21 and 22. You're below 500, but you're still the 6th seed in the East. So the East may not be better. It might be better on the top, but the bottom of the East is still bad. Miami,
Yeah.
Charlotte, and Brooklyn all sit under 500 in the 6th, 7th, and 8th seed currently, with Detroit and Orlando not too far behind them.
Nipping at their heels.
It is an absolute train wreck.
The Magic are in the
Oh.
playoff race with a 17 and 24 record.
Yeah, they're not out of it. They are
Man,
not out of it.
Is it surprising to you that Washington is behind Orlando with a 17 and 25 record? What is going on there, man?
It's not surprising. They did win last night, which was a good win for them, but it's not surprising because there's been so much drama around there. The chemistry with Beal and Wall, and it just doesn't seem like it's working. Like they just need to blow it up and start over because they have a ton of talent on that team, and they're just not performing up to the level of talent that's on that team. And you know, this
I think they
also
could get a lot for all of those players too.
Oh, absolutely. They could get a lot for him. And honestly, it kind of tells me that maybe there's a little bit of overratedness for some of these guys. Like John Wall, to me, the more I look at him, the more I think, okay, he's overrated. People think he is better than he actually is. What has he done? Really, what has he done since he was the number 1 overall pick?
He hasn't done anything. I mean, he's been a stat patter. That's about it. People like to give James Harden and Russell Westbrook crap for being stat patters, but at least these guys lead their teams to the playoffs year in and year out. And then they've done damage in the playoffs. They've led their team deep into the playoffs, where when John Wall gets to the playoffs, he's an early exit.
Yeah, every time. Early exit. And it's not just him. Bradley Beal, same thing. This is a guy that he gets talked about as being like a top-tier player, and I don't know that he is a top-tier player. And again, maybe it's the chemistry of the two of them together. A lot of people I've heard say things like, oh, this is one of the best young backcourts. Well, that was 2-3 years ago, and where are we at today? We're sitting where Washington is 17 and 25. If they're the best young backcourt, they did not mature very well.
Well,
They did not come
Bradley
together
Beal,
very well.
Bradley Beal is a Gator legend, so I don't think it's him.
Yeah, I knew you were going to go there. Bradley
No, it
Beal,
definitely is.
every
They
time.
just haven't panned out, man. And honestly, as a Gator fan, it's hard to. I think Bradley Beal was there for 2 years, so he wasn't a one and done. But it is hard to like really truly like a guy when he's only there for a year or two.
Yeah, the whole one and done thing. You don't get the loyalty. It's not like
Well,
you're
not even just the
alma
loyalty.
mater.
It's just like, oh, hey, there's that Bradley Beal guy, and he's gone.
Yeah,
Barely got to know you.
it's true. It's very short too. Short season.
Short season.
I don't
mean,
even think they register for classes in the spring.
No, they
I
don't.
think no. They're and you think about it, March Madness. That's March. That's
It's
spring
right around the corner,
se-
man.
I know it's right around the corner, but for college, you register and you go to start classes in January. So if you're not registering for spring, you're almost doing 2-3 months without classes. And when you're one and done, you don't care, because as long as you're registered in fall and you took some classes, that makes you eligible for the entire season.
Yeah.
Kind of a loophole. All right, man. I guess we'll talk a little bit about the Western Conference Finals here, or Western Conference real quick. I do have one other news and nugget from the college basketball world, but we do have about 5 more minutes. So before I get into that last little nugget, I just want to say that the Denver Nuggets, like that segue, leading the West at 27-12, probably the most surprising team out of the West this season. I would say it was the Clippers, but the Clippers have fallen off a little bit. So the Nuggets sit number 1. Golden State's a little bit behind them at number 2, not far off, 1 game behind. Oklahoma City about 2.5 behind Denver. And then you get the LA Clippers, who, again, probably the second most surprising team behind the Nuggets at 24-16. Then you got Portland, Houston, San Antonio, and the Lakers hanging on to that last spot in the West. The West is still strong, my friend, but I don't feel like they are as strong as they have been in years past. Things seem to have leveled themselves out between the East and the West a little bit more than I thought they would.
Until January 18th.
Oh, yeah?
When
What happens then?
DeMarcus Cousins comes to the
Oh,
Warriors and they start rolling.
the
No, I
Warriors
mean-
will take over.
But, I mean, we talked about how many teams with losing records is in the East that is in the playoffs. There's not a single team right now that is in the playoffs with a losing record. And you want to sit there and say, well, that means that the West is easier. No, all of these teams, the best record, in conference record for the West is the Denver Nuggets. They're 16-7. But then you start going down the list, and everybody is at or just above 500. The Golden State Warriors have a 16-10 West record, but then you got 15-12, 17-11, 14-14, 15-12, 17-13, and 16-13. So they're going over to the East, and they're getting the rest of their wins against the Easy East. That's what they talked about. When Easy-E, when he came up with that rap name, he was thinking about the NBA East, Eastern Conference, like 20 years later, and that's how he came up with the Easy East, and then he went by Easy-E for short. And that's your
true.
behind the music for the day.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, the Orlando Magic have been on a West Coast trip, playing a lot of West Coast teams. They've played, out of the Eastern Conference, they've played the most Western Conference teams out of everybody. So that's going to even out. As they pick up more Eastern Conference games, the Orlando Magic will come back, and they will be a force to be reckoned with, and they will be the 9th or 8th seed in the East. That's my bold prediction.
They're 17-24. They're 12-10 in the East. So that means they're 5-14 against the West.
Yeah, and just another West factoid. The West, every team is basically still in it within a couple games of that last 8th spot, except the Phoenix Suns. Every other team is sitting, the Dallas Mavericks at the 14th spot in the West, 19-22, which would be good enough to make the playoffs if you were in the East.
So they're 19-22. They're 11-17 against the West. And then you look at the top 3 teams in the East, 19-6, 20-7, and 21-7 are their all conference records for Milwaukee, Toronto, and Indiana. It's just a cakewalk, man. And that's what I kept trying to tell people about. Not to take anything away from LeBron James and not saying that he didn't deserve to be in the finals, but it's a lot easier to make it through the finals when your competition is garbage.
It's true. It's true.
All right, Louder, we got 1 minute. I want to hear what that topic was.
Oh, the topic. Well, one last thing. College basketball, big performance last night. Marquette's Marcus Howard scores 53 points against Creighton, breaking his own Big East record for points scored in a game. He scored 52 in a game last year. Okay, so you want to hear real quick what my topic was? I can't tease it anymore.
You can't tease it
We
anymore.
got just about 30 seconds left.
Okay.
And I just can't keep teasing it.
Seconds.
So
Don't waste this 30
I'm gonna. Hopefully I don't run out of time. And it looks like we're about end of the show. Well, this has been a great show. I want to thank everybody for listening in. And it's been a wonderful show. If you want to tune in tomorrow morning, we will be back on the air at 6 a.m. and replay at 11 a.m. on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. And again, you can always catch the podcast at Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or anywhere a podcast could be found. And Chris America, I can't do that to you. I'm going to tell you what it was.
Yeah?
It was the Super Bowl prediction topic that I brought up earlier. That's what I was
it?
going to talk about. Yep. That's all it was.
I'm kind of glad we saved it for this morning, man.
Yeah. I know. It was a better topic this morning. I'm with you. 100%.
All right, we'll catch you on the flippity flop.
Flip, flip.